Welcome to the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and we have some big-time news to discuss on today's episode that doesn't actually involve the Heat's first-round playoff series against the Cleveland Cavaliers, as Miami is currently down 1-0 to the Cavs after the blowout loss on Sunday, but it actually has to do with the NBA draft. Yes, the Heat lost their first pick because they made the playoffs, and that top 14 protection did not kick in, so the Heat's 15th overall pick is heading to OKC. But the reason why we're coming up here and talking about the NBA draft today is actually because the other pick they had via Golden State, which is what was acquired in the Jimmy Butler trade, that was in a tie with two other teams, and the NBA held a drawing to see which team would pick 18, 19, 20, and the Miami Heat's selection was announced yesterday afternoon. Before I tell you what that pick is and we look at some prospects that I have my eye on early in this NBA draft process, make sure you are subscribed to the channel for daily Miami Heat content. We'll also be live for the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Wednesday evening as the Heat try to even that series. So join us for the live watch party, but also for content in between each game and in the offseason. All right, so the Heat had the potential of having the 18th, 19th, or 20th pick. And how this was determined is that they did a random drawing for each team. So they did a 1 out of 3 drawing for the 18th pick, and then the two teams that did not get the 18th pick had a drawing 50-50 chance to get 19, and the person who did not get picked gets the 20th pick. Well, if you did not know, the Miami Heat were unlucky in this one. They lost both drawings and will be picking 20th in the NBA draft. So not the most ideal outcome for Miami. It could have been worse going into the final day of the regular season. The Warriors had the projected 22nd pick. So with them losing and the other events that happened on the final day of the regular season, Miami still did move up a couple of projected spots. But it could have been all the way up to 18, which would have been very helpful because this is a loaded NBA draft class. But a lot of people, myself included, I think there is quite a tier break of NBA draft prospects following the lottery, and obviously the lottery ends around pick 14, so you still would have gotten the first 4 or 5 picks after the lottery if you were picking 18, but because you're picking 20, it's a little bit more of a crapshoot. I do have some prospects that I am keeping my eye on. We know what Miami needs. They have a couple needs, in my opinion. They need a true backup center. It's not a need that has been talked about a lot for the Heat, but as Adebayo continues to transition from being a center to being a 3-4 wing type of guy, the Heat will then need a true backup center to Kel'el Ware moving forward, assuming that he is on the roster. So I think a backup center is an underrated need. We know the need for a true point guard is legit to take some of that ball handling and playmaking responsibilities away from Tyler Hero and allow him to go back to hit more of his scoring off-ball role, which makes him so great. And I think we need another wing still. I know a lot of people are going to come up here and in the comment section, because I've already seen it, saying we don't need any wings. We have Jaime Jr., we have Andrew Wiggins, we have Nikola Jovic. Well, the truth is, if you want to win a NBA championship, you need an abundance of wings, number one, but you also need to have a lead dog wing. Like, wings win in the NBA. And the truth is, none of those guys I just mentioned have any chance of being a lead wing in the NBA, if you're asking me. So I could absolutely still see the Heat targeting a wing with high upside, a good physical frame that can really just dominate defensively, but is also a good three-point shooter and maybe someone who could put the ball on the deck and create for himself and others. So to me, there is still a lot of needs that the Heat have at the wing, at the guard, at the center, and I think they'll have to address one of these needs at the 20th overall pick, assuming they keep that pick. You never know. They could use that in a trade, whether it's for a John Moran, a Trae Young, a Kevin Durant. So you don't know, but we will talk about some prospects on today's show. But before we get into the guys that I'm targeting, let me know which prospect is your favorite. I don't know if you guys have done a lot of NBA draft research. I have already. I've done some of my scouting, some of my analysis. So let me know which prospect is your favorite. I have a clear-cut number 1 for 20. I do think he's going to be off the board, but let me know who yours is down below. The clear-cut number one guy for me at 20 is Rashard Fleming, the forward from St. Joe's. I actually think he climbs up and goes late lottery. There's been NBA big boards to have him in their top 14. There's Kevin O'Connor's big board. There's no ceilings. There's ESPN's. They all have him around about 12 to 16. So it would require some luck or maybe a trade up for Miami to get Fleming. He is a 6'9" forward from St. Joe's. He's 240 pounds. He has a rumored 7'4" wingspan. So his physicality, his frame is NBA ready. And to me, he is someone who could just be an absolute demon on the defensive side of the ball. He averaged 3 stocks this year in the Atlantic 10 Conference, 1.5 steals, 1.5 blocks, averaged 15 points a game, 9 boards, shot 39% from 3, is an explosive finisher around the rim, and he is my number one guy because to me, when I see Rashard Fleming, I see someone that would create a just unbelievable defensive front court if he started with Bam Adebayo and Kel'el Ware. The switchability Fleming has at the next level is top tier. I think he could guard 3 through 5, and we'll see if his foot speed is quick enough to guard 2 through 5, but I absolutely think he could guard any person in the front court with that weight and with that wingspan that he has, and we know that Miami and Eric Spoelstra likes to go small balls, so Fleming could absolutely fill in and play the 4 for Miami a lot of times. But that three-point shot is what makes him such an intriguing prospect to me. I mentioned him shooting 39% from 3 this year. He has improved every year of his career at the college level. It started at 33%, jumped up to 35, now this year all the way up to 39. So he's gotten better every single year. He's a true junior, 20 years old. And when you watch him shoot the ball, it reminds me a lot of Michael Porter Jr. It does. The release point, it's high. The lower body is similar as well. And we know MPJ, for all of his deficiencies, is one of the best NBA shooters that the league has. So I think this is a very fascinating prospect. I don't think he will ultimately get to Miami at 20, but if he did, I would turn in the card immediately because that is how much I like Rashard Fleming. All right, I'm going to look at some other prospects here briefly here in just a second, but we are sponsored by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy sports platform that I play every single day, and you got to cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup, whether it's points, rebounds, assists. Take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. And turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series, starting with the playoff first round. Every lineup you make on Prize Picks will enter you into the Takes Two ticket sweepstakes, which could get you and a +1 a VIP trip to the ship. Prize Picks is the best way to get on the action as it's legal in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and more. And there is so many other cool things like Taco Tuesday. That's today. Every Tuesday, Prize Picks discount select several projections on the board, usually by 15 to 25%. I've used that a lot to add some value to my lineup, and it's helped me cash out quite a bit. So join me and the millions of others on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, when we continue to look at some prospects, I'm going to stick with the wings here, and then I'll move over to some guards. At the wing, Nick Clifford is another favorite of mine. He is a veteran, experienced college player, really rose his stock as a fringe first-round guy to someone firmly going probably in the middle part of this NBA draft, could go late lottery as well. He has just continued to rise. He's an older guy, 23 years old, but he's 6'6", 200, and has a big-time wingspan as well. He can play the 2, he can play the 3, averaged 19 points, 9.5 boards for the Colorado State Rams, led them to a round of 32 appearance in the NCAA tournament before Derek Queen broke their heart with a buzzer beater. He shot 50% from the field, 37.7% from 3, was just absolutely awesome this year. He gets on the glass. He can knock down catch and shoot threes. He's got a really good mid-range game off the dribble, and I think he can be someone that probably projects as a 3, but if you told me he was starting in the backcourt next to Tyler Hero next year to provide some height and defensive prowess, which is something he does do as well, he defends, I would not be upset with that whatsoever. I think this is similar to Rashard Fleming in terms of a team likely going to scoop him up before Miami's pick at 20. But if Clifford is there at that 20th pick, it's going to be hard for me to pass up on him, just like I said with Rashard Fleming. Another wing that I really like, Carter Bryant from Arizona, 6'8", 225. This is a freshman. Yeah, he's 19 years old with a 6'8", 225 frame. You just simply don't see 18, 19-year-olds with the NBA-ready body that Carter Bryant already has. And you're not going to see the productivity that you saw with Fleming and Clifford in Bryant, only averaging 6.5 points and 4 boards last year. But when you watch him shoot the basketball, it projects as something that will improve and get better with NBA coaching. Shot 37.1% from 3 on low volume. But the reason why you would grab Bryant at 20 with the high upside, and I do believe he could be there, absolutely, is because of that NBA frame and his ability to just continue to improve his game. Now, is the upside there in terms of his creation? I'm not sure of that, but as a connecting defender and three-point shooter, absolutely someone that intrigues me with the 20th pick, and we know Miami likes those wings that can defend. Those are the 3 wings that I have my eye on. I'm now going to shift to guards here. There's 4 or 3 guards here that really intrigue me. I'll go through them all. Jace Richardson from Michigan State, Ben Serra from Israel, Nolan Traore from France, and LeBaron Philon from Alabama. You're going to notice that I didn't say Walter Clayton. I know there's a lot of Walter Clayton fanboys down in the comments section. The truth is, I don't think he's a good fit for Miami. I know you guys say, we need a bucket getter in the backcourt. Yeah. I think he's a good player. But do you want to put a smaller guard that relies a lot on jump shooting next to Tyler Hero? I don't think that's the best idea, which is why I think I'm going to hold off on going with Walter Clayton. But someone like Nolan Traore intrigues me. A 6'4" point guard who is 18 years old, was a top 10 projected pick in this draft before having a little bit of a down season for St. Quentin overseas. Just had a super high usage rate. It was a bit ridiculous how much they put on this 18-year-old shoulders. But he's an unbelievable facilitator of the basketball, and I think he's a better shooter than what his numbers showed overseas. And to me, when you look at the European prospects here, I always think you're going to see a lower shooting percentage just because the style of basketball is much different. There's less spacing, and the numbers always improve when they jump over from the overseas basketball to the NBA. So even though a lot of people are down on Traore, I will stand firm that I have him firmly on my radar as a guard selection at 20 due to his upside in his ball handling, his frame, and his, I predict, shooting increase from the next level. LeBaron Philon, someone who's interesting. Just quickly on him, he's 6'4". He needs to add weight for sure. He's a little frail, but freshman at Alabama, averaged 10 points a game this season. He's just got an unbelievable first step, man. I mean, truly is got a speed burst that you see sometimes with Davion Mitchell. I'm not going to say he's as athletic as like De'Aaron Fox or a John Morant, but when he gets to the open floor, man, it's just baseline the baseline in an instant. I am a fan of Philon, and I think he is someone that I am really going to continue to look at here for Miami at 20. Jace Richardson's an intriguing prospect. Similar size to Walter Clayton, 6'3", just a little bit more of a well-rounded guy. Shot 49% from the field, 41% from 3, 83.6% from the line. So he's got a really good shot from on the arc and in the mid-range. Averaged about 18 points a game for the Spartans once inserted to the starting lineup starting in February and led them to a 2 seed in the tournament. I like Richardson, son of Jason Richardson, so he's got NBA ties. He knows what it takes. Similar concerns to Walter Clayton in terms of the size, but Richardson's a much better defender, left-hander. He's crafty. I'm intrigued with Richardson. I know a lot of people mock drafted Richardson to Miami with like the 13th pick when the Heat were still in the lottery. I was not really in on that, but I would be in on Jace Richardson if the Heat ultimately took him with the 20th overall pick. And the last guard we'll quickly mention is Ben Seraph, the guard from Ratio Farm, Ulm in Germany, but he's originally from Israel. 6'5", 200, so he's got really good size for the position. A lefty guard who we actually did a video about him because he was projected to Miami in a mock draft about a week and a half ago. Reminds me a lot of Goran Dragic. Now, does he have the upside of Goran? Probably not, but the way he is smooth in his floater game, the way he gets to his spots in the mid-range, not the best three-point shooter, but his form is similar to Goran's, honestly. It's high arcing, it's leaves his hands high, so it's a high release point. I like Seraph. I don't know if it's the best pick for Miami because he's got a lot of limitations athletically, but he's crafty, and it's going to be someone that the Heat are interested in. There's already a report out there that Miami is doing extensive work on Ben Seraph. So when you already hear that the Heat are looking into him, and that's his projected draft range, it's someone that we absolutely have to talk about. All right, we'll mention two centers here off the rip. Thomas Sorber from Georgetown and Danny Wolf from Michigan. Both of them are likely to go in that range. It's a pick your poison. Danny Wolf is a 20-year-old, 7-footer, 250, played the 4 for Michigan, but also played the 5. You saw him work hand-in-hand with Vlad Golden inside this past year for the Wolverines and Dusty May. Really good ball handler. That's an intriguing thing. He can play make, 3.6 assists this year. His three-point shot, it's weird. Shot 33.6% from 3, so you're like, it's not terrible for a center, but shot 59.4% from the free throw line. So how good of a shooter is he actually? I don't think he's that good of a shooter. And he's not the most athletically gifted guy either. So what is he bringing to the table? He's got good footwork. He's got good physicality inside. He knows how to play. He boxes out. He rotates well on the interior. Averaged 1.4 blocks a game this year. I like his playmaking, but I don't really think the shooting touch is there as many people want to believe it is. We'll ultimately see. Now, someone that I'm interested in is Thomas Sorber. 6'10", 255, big from Georgetown. Freshman, was not projected to go first round, but had a great year. Played 24 games, 14.5 points, 8.5 boards, 1.5 steals, 2 blocks. This guy's a defensive menace. He absolutely dominates the inside for you at the Big East level. Now, his season got cut short due to foot injuries, but I think as long as his foot doesn't show long-term injury potential, Sorber is going to be an absolute menace inside defensively. He's already a smart defender at 19 years of age, which is something that we know Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra will like. And if he shows that mental aspect of the game of basketball that Riley and Spo always look after, I think this is going to be someone Miami is interested in if they want to take a backup center with the 20th overall pick. Not a floor spacer whatsoever. Did shoot 72.4% from the free throw line, but 16% from 3. He's a rim protector, rim finisher through and through, and would be a good complement to Kalel Ware as a backup center. So if you wanted to go that route, Thomas Sorber is certainly someone I have interested in. All right, longer video here, but appreciate you guys hanging out with me as I dive into about 8 or 9 prospects that I'm looking at with the 20th pick. Tough break for Miami that they ultimately got 20 rather than 18 or 19, but the one Heat pick will be at 20. We'll see if the Heat keep it. They might trade it in a veteran deal this offseason, but we'll be here to break it all down. So hit that sub button. Make sure you join us for our Wednesday night Game 2 watch party between Miami and Cleveland. Hopefully we see you there.